January 23rd, 2018. Shelby, Bowen, SHELBY BOWEN.
Okay. How long have you been with Freedom House?
About a year and a half.
Okay. All right. What were the steps leading up to your brokenness?
Well, I grew up in a very broken home. My parents were both addicts, so that's all I knew from time growing up. My father was a very bad alcoholic, and he was very abusive toward my mother. And then it led up to when it led up to his death, my mom became very abusive towards me. And then one day the abuse just got so bad that I wound up in foster care for about 3 months, and then I was adopted by my mom's mom. And I thought everything would be good, but it wasn't. After living there for a while, my uncle started sexually abusing me, and it was brutal. It was just too much to handle for a young kid. So when I was about 12, the abuse finally stopped, and I wound up started smoking weed, drinking, popping pills, just doing anything I could to get my mind to shut up because I couldn't focus on anything because that's all that ran through my head was the abuse. So after that, my mom was released from prison, and we were okay as far as a relationship because I had tried to get away from where I was because I didn't want to live around him anymore. But she hadn't really changed. She stopped using. She stopped doing whatever she was doing, but she expected me to change because she had stopped doing whatever she was doing and I couldn't. So what?
So help me out here. So we're doing I need to get from each other. So we're doing like
Do you see this love going up and
we're basically going to be having a conversation. So you don't have to do it.
Okay, cool.
If she's speaking too
I'm
high,
going to ask you questions.
Okay.
And then you.
What I do to say like addiction, abuse, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, so like I'm going to ask you some questions, and then we're just going to dialogue with each other.
So she just explained pretty much all of her life within 15 seconds. All of her life within because people do that, like, okay, how do I sum this up? I'm nervous, I'm this.
Right.
Okay, so you need to kind of catch up on those key phrases. Okay, when growing up, she felt this way, so she kind of skipped over the way that she felt. So let's kind of dive into that. Okay, why did you feel abandoned, alone? You know, what was your family situation when you were
growing up? So what made you feel abandoned?
I think from being abused a lot and just feeling like I wasn't good enough for anything. That's what really led to the feeling of being abandoned.
How did you view your family?
My family, I viewed them as pretty crazy because that's what they all were. I need to rephrase that. They were not well because that's all I knew growing up. Like I came from a long line of addiction and alcohol, and it was just.
About growing up.
Growing up, it was very chaotic and violent. Both my parents were addicts, so from the time I was little, that was all I knew was addiction and.
Okay. What else about her childhood do you want to know? I'm not probably the person.
You guys want to switch? Aaron could be asking questions.
Okay, I can do this.
You can do all things.
I can do this. Okay, so I want to know about her childhood. So now a little bit about her family.
So ask about her parents, her brothers.
Okay, so
her school life.
All right.
See some of those identities.
Right. So do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have 2 biological brothers and 2 stepbrothers.
What is
Okay.
What is your relationship like with your brothers and sisters?
It's okay. It's pretty strained because I ruined a lot of things in my mess, but it's being restored back to me slowly.
Can you tell me how things were in school for you?
I was bullied a lot in school, and I didn't really feel like I fit in anywhere, so I tried to fit in wherever I could, whether it was being with whoever or being with the bad kids or the people who didn't really fit in. That's where I tried to make my place.
Okay.
So why were you bullied at school?
I was a bigger child, so I was made fun of a lot for my weight, and it really had a bad effect on me. Like I was called fat, ugly, things like that, and it really had a big effect on my life.
did that, what type of feelings did you have when you were kind of identified as?
I felt rejected a lot, and like I wasn't good enough for anybody, because that was a feeling I had from even my parents and all my own family. So that was implanted. That was pretty implemented.
So your family, they treated you different?
Mhm.
How so?
I was kind of I was the one who was abused. Like my little brothers, they weren't touched, but I was the one that my parents both didn't like, I guess.
So growing up with all the bullying and identifying as a label all throughout school, what did you reach towards to fulfill that?
I started using drugs when I was pretty young. I thought that would maybe help a little bit because everyone was doing it, so I figured I could do it to fit in, and that was what I knew growing up, so I figured, I guess my time is now. So that was something I started doing.
What did you start doing?
I started smoking weed and drinking when I was about 12, and then I started stealing my grandma's pills, and then progressed on to different things.
So now, before teen challenge, like what was the...
What was the situation that you found yourself in?
What was the situation you found yourself in before coming to teen challenge?
Well, I had been using meth for about 3 years, and then my mom, after she got out of prison, she relapsed, and we started using drugs together, and left a very big strain on our relationship. Like, we would be together, and we would use, and we would go to get high and do whatever else, but at the end of it, we always wound up getting into it, and eventually it just got bad enough to where I became abusive towards her, and one morning I lashed out, and I hit her, and I knew that I needed to change something, or something had to change, so I ran from everything and went to a completely different state.
How did you hear about teen challenge?
After I had moved from Nebraska to Oklahoma, I was invited to a black and white service by a lady I knew from my work, and I wasn't gonna go, but something told me that I needed to go, so I went.
How did that service make you feel?
I didn't really know what to think. I believed in God, but I didn't really believe in God. And then when I saw other people's testimonies, I was like, maybe this can be the right thing to do. Maybe it can help.
When did you come to teen challenge?
June 29th of 2016.
What were your first thoughts?
I wanted to know what was wrong with y'all. Why you were so happy. I want to know why you were so happy and had smiles, and why everyone told me they loved me, because I never had experienced that. And having people I didn't know tell me they loved me was very hard to take in.
So how about in the middle of your program after you'd been here for a little bit?
After I've been here for a little bit, it took me a while to really get it because of the abuse that I had suffered as a kid. I didn't look at men as something healthy. I thought they were mean and not good. So it took me a while to really grasp onto God and that whole father figure thing.
So what was the turning point when being here? Was there that aha moment?
The turning point was actually about a month before I completed the program, when I got my confidential, and it was about the sexual abuse and about the abuse and everything, and it really made me realize that even though God, he didn't suffer like the sexual abuse, he suffered the same thing. Like, he was rejected, he was despised, he was spit on, and he was cursed, and I mean, he still endured everything for us, and it made me really get it.
So since I'm going to so what are your plans?
So let's rewind the tape a little bit and ask her, I think there's a little bit more about how she felt when she was growing up and how she used that and got into drugs. I mean, that's quite a story. Her and her mom started using it, and her turning against her mom. I mean, that's something right there. That's creating her unique.
Okay.
That's not something that you would hear over a casual coffee shop conversation. So let's go into what made you finally just like backlash on your mom. At what point was it just the drugs working your system to?
It actually wasn't. My mom, whenever she started using, she became very, I can't even think of the word now, delusional. And she started seeing things and hearing things, and it was very, hard to live with. So I stayed out of the house most of the time, even though it was my house. And I remember there was one night my stepdaddy came looking for her, and she wasn't there, but I came back from a night of partying and drinking and just being out all night. And I had actually gotten into a bad car accident where I had almost died. If I would have been 2 inches over and flipped the car, I would have instantly died. But I didn't, and I had broken my nose, and my face was all busted. She came in my room and threw something at my face, and that instantly made me really mad. So, I let it go that night, and I locked my door, and I just said, I'm done, I'm going to sleep. But the next morning, it just didn't stop, so eventually that's what made me jump up, and I hit her, and that was what had happened.
You're doing great, Stephanie.
No, I'm not. Like,
I forgot one part of the story, my bad.
You guys are learning from the ground up. This is awesome. You're catching up quite well. You're technical and you're creative and you're doing well.
You're a great motivational speaker. So what else should I ask?
Yeah. Well, ask her about, okay, she ran away to a different state. Did you say different state? Okay. So, what was the revelation that you needed help? I mean, was it the whole thing with your mom? Was it just...
No, it was things even after that made me realize that I needed help.
So what was the top situation that you found yourself in, like, oh man, I need to reach out to help for help?
Probably the top situation was, in Kleenex or something. Top situation probably was, I have been searching for just love and acceptance everywhere, and when I got pregnant, I didn't really know what to do, so I just kept drinking, and I kept doing whatever else, thinking that it would be okay, just having someone there to love me. But whenever I lost whatever it was, I felt so empty on the inside that I just didn't know what to do with myself anymore, and I had no hope. I didn't want to live, so I knew at that moment that I needed help, or I was going to die.
Like, I'm trying not to cry over here.
So, how is the restoration with your family? Has there been restoration with your mom or your grandparents? How's your relationship with them now?
It's gotten a lot better.
Little comfort moment.
Thanks, Peter.
That's great. It's actually gotten a lot better. My family, before they didn't know what to do with me. Like, my grandparents, they had no idea any way to help me. And, they had tried, but they had never dealt with the situation that I had been in. And they weren't really involved because they weren't allowed to be when I was growing up, because they were so far away. And, when I came to Teen Challenge, I decided to have nothing to do with my mom, because I knew that our relationship was toxic and that it was no good for me or her to be around each other at the moment. But, in December, Miss Love told me that I could actually start writing letters to her, and I expected the worst to hear back from her, but actually she's doing really good, and she's been sober since I left, and it's just amazing what God has done. My family talks to me now, my little brothers want to see me. It's just been really cool to see everything working out, and when I never thought it would before. Deciding to stay was not easy for me. I wanted to go home, but I knew that going home, I had the feeling that I would fall, and I really needed to realize that going home wasn't good for me. And I decided to stay because I knew that I wanted to give back what had been given to me, and I didn't even deserve it. Because I didn't deserve that chance to be here. I didn't deserve the opportunity that God gave me.
So what does the future look like for Shelby?
Honestly, I really am just going with it right now. Because I don't really know what the future looks like. I don't know whether it entails staying with Teen Challenge or going into some different type of ministry. But for right now, the future looks like it's staying here.
What would make... What did he say about trying to get them... We want Teen Challenge.
What would you say to someone who needed Teen Challenge? What would the reason be that you gave them to come to this program?
The reason I would give them to come to this program would be, I was the person who had no hope and didn't think I had a future, but this place and the women here showed me that I do have a future. No matter what your past looks like, no matter what you've been through, what you put yourself through, your family, you can get out and you can be new again. You don't have to stay in the same place that you are.
If you're gonna look back on your life 5 years ago, what would you say to yourself?
I would say to myself that you have no idea what you're doing with your life and the mess you're making out of it, but the future holds something much better.
Yeah, that's your Kodak moment right there.
It is.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's really good.
Cool. All right. Anything else that you guys may want to inquire about?
I don't know.
It's all you, Stephanie.
I don't know that I'm the person for this job.
So, how has Teen Challenge, like, when was that moment through your program that it just clicked through your program here at Teen Challenge?
Didn't we just ask that?
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, you're losing my mind. Okay, the aha moment. I'm losing my mind. I need some coffee. I think we're